And now, reports of lights in the sky. Home video tonight from a ranch outside Sydney, Australia. Watch very carefully now. There it is. Let's see that again. Very, very disturbing.
Alright, so Disclosure Day just came out, and the new Steven Spielberg, and it's a special new Steven Spielberg because it deals with alien movies. And in my mind, Steven Spielberg is really good when he is making movies that deal with aliens or like a science fiction genre. That's when he really excels, I think. And adventure, for sure. Adventure is great too, but his big shining ones are sci-fi and alien movies. And I kind of have a list here of like the 5 alien movies that he's done. And Disclosure Day is right here in the middle. And I really think this is where it belongs. It doesn't really belong, behind War of the Worlds. Definitely not behind Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But it's not as great as E.T. or Close Encounters. Disclosure Day is a movie that is really okay. Like, it's good, and there are many times where it wants to be great, but it never actually makes the jump of being great. In fact, it kind of balances between being pretty okay and pretty good. So it's just kind of good. There's not really anything in it where it blows your mind, at least until the very end, which is its own separate thing, and its own separate thing that I put at the beginning at this video, so you'll see it. But overall, it's good. What's her name? Emily Blunt plays the main character, Margaret Fairchild. And for some reason, the whole movie, I could have sworn that her name was Morgan. That they were calling her Morgan or Megan. I could have sworn that. And then when I looked it up later, her name was Margaret. I was like, did anybody actually call her Margaret? I don't know. It was just a weird thing where I could have bet my life that her name was either Megan or Morgan. And it's just not at all. Josh O'Connor plays the other lead, Daniel. And Josh O'Connor has kind of been having a big 2 or 3 years. I know he was in something big before Wake Up Dead Man, but I feel like Wake Up Dead Man is kind of like his big new arrival movie. And probably before that, he's probably been, a side character in an obvious movie like, oh yeah, here he is. Of course, that's Josh O'Connor. But now he's here starring in a big Steven Spielberg movie, and he's good in it for sure. There's a weird thing between the two actors where Emily Blunt is somehow very good in the movie, but also miscast. She's 7 years older than Josh O'Connor, but in the context of the movie, it kind of requires the characters to be the same age. And you can tell that 7 years of age distance between the two real life actors is there. I mean, the 7-year age gap, that's a mean 7-year age gap. Like, you can clearly tell Emily Blunt is older than Josh O'Connor. Where it's just like, these two kids, like, these two weren't born the same year. Like, these two weren't born in 86. Emily Blunt was, but Josh O'Connor wasn't. Oh no, in the movie, Emily Blunt was, but Josh O'Connor wasn't. It's just an odd thing where she just doesn't look visually right for the role. You kind of felt like you needed somebody just around Josh O'Connor's age. But at the same time, she's very good in it. Like, she does this whole one-shot take where she's speaking different languages, and she's kind of been taken over by the aliens a little bit, or she's had like the aliens have dipped themselves into into Emily Blunt's psyche a little bit. And she's kind of feeling the effects of that for the first time, and she can read people's minds and read people's feelings and stuff. And she's really good in that scene. But it's just a weird thing where you can tell, like, the age of the character is just not right. Like, her boyfriend in the movie is Wyatt Russell, who at one point has, like, an anger explosion, and he sounds just like his dad. It's just like, this is clearly Kurt Russell's son. He sounds just like his dad. The whole movie is basically, these two characters are linked psychically because of an alien encounter they had when they were kids. And they come into possession of evidence that will prove that aliens exist on Earth and have existed on Earth for a long time and have been kept quiet by this one company called Wardex. Wardex has kept all these alien files hidden, and happens for some reason they've been torturing the aliens as well. Why they've been doing that, I don't know. And so, like, the whole movie is that the two main characters are trying to outrun this evil company who's headed by Colin Firth, who's good in the movie as well. And expose the truth to the public that aliens exist. Now, the big other whole point of the movie, that's kind of the plot, but there's the story, and kind of the theme of the movie is actually, like, what does the existence of aliens mean to people? Like, how would it actually affect people's lives? And Spielberg kind of looks at it in a way where he goes, well, it would probably affect people's religion pretty heavily, because there's a lot of scenes in this movie where they kind of debate how aliens would affect people's perception of God, and how it's like, well, they think that aliens existing would just make people not believe in God anymore. So I don't know if this movie is Steven Spielberg's whole, like, hey, I'm atheist now, and I'm atheist because I believe in aliens. Because sometimes it feels like that. But there are scenes in the movie where it just feels like it stops completely dead. Like, the story just comes to a screeching halt. So we can have a scene where a nun talks to another character about how even if aliens exist, she would still believe in a supreme being, the Catholic version of God. And it's like, okay, that's great that you feel that way, but it really doesn't have any impact on the story and the plot of these two characters trying to outrun this evil government. It just feels like random scenes that don't really work. It's just like a weird conflict. I don't think it works that well. And there's odd moments where Emily Blunt is like, this other woman gets down on her knee and is like, hey, let's pray about this, Emily Blunt. And Emily Blunt is like, she says something like, I won't bow down to anybody's religion. And it just feels odd. Like, it just feels like, it doesn't feel like that's really the theme of what the movie's going for. It kind of actually feels like the real theme of the movie should be, if you're going to disclose all of this information to the public, how would they know it's real? And it's kind of a thing, too, where it's like, there are moments near the end of the movie where all these newscasters and reporters are like, hey, is all this stuff we're seeing, is all of this real? How can we know all of this is true? And I feel like that should be kind of more the point of, we've reached a place in society where you don't really believe anything you see anymore because of AI, because of, fake news reports on Instagram or whatever, and you have, like, high-ranking members of government announcing things one day, and then 5 days later they announce the complete opposite. And so it just feels like in today's world you kind of get like you don't really believe most of the things people on the news say, and not in a way that they're liars, but more in a way where it's like, yeah, I bet the opposite is going to be true in like 5 days. And hey, is this footage even real? Because of how invasive AI is in our world now. And it feels like that does prop its head up in the movie a couple times near the end, but I feel like I feel like Spielberg could have actually hit the nail on that a little bit better. Because once they start disclosing all the alien information, maybe 5 to 10 seconds are spent on that. When really it should be like a longer conversation of, why should we think this is real? Why should we think all this information and footage we're seeing is real? I guess I'll give a little bit of a spoiler pause here. Alright, so the end of the movie is essentially they reach this news station that Emily Blunt's character works at, and they just convince everybody. I mean, Emily Blunt basically uses her alien powers to just make everybody do her will. Emily Blunt just basically convinces everybody to let her make this giant broadcast where she just discloses that aliens are real, and Josh O'Connor's character uploads all this footage that the evil company Wardex has kept hidden of aliens, landing on Earth, interacting with humans. I mean, there's like footage of aliens going into a tent with military officials, and so you assume that there's communication or something happening with aliens, and it's just this big 5 to 10 minute long sequence of the revelation of the truth of aliens have been here for a long time, and it's all been kept a secret. And I guess I forgot to mention that earlier. Also, World War III is about to break out in this world that we're living in. But you really only get glimpses of it, of background news reports that aren't really given a special focus, as well as when you go to as well as when the characters go to a gas station, and it's like COVID again, when everybody was just hoarding resources and everybody was buying every staple and everybody was buying toilet paper, and there's 50 cars lined up at a normal gas station, not a Costco gas station where it's normal for hundreds of cars to be lined up, just a regular gas station. As some sort of panic. And those are the only real moments where you get, oh, the world is in trouble. Because it's better to see things like that than the news reports. Because the news reports is just feels like, oh, I guess that's happening over there. It feels so distant. It's like, oh, I guess, Russia and America are about to bomb each other. All right, that's just something on the news, I guess. And I feel like younger Spielberg would have painted the bigger picture of that better. He would have been able to lay out the stakes of that a lot better. I mean, the stakes of this whole movie is that it just essentially creates world peace, and that the world is going to bomb itself. But that's all in the background, because the real plot is these two characters finding a way to disclose this information to the world. And younger Spielberg could have projected that a little better, I feel. But the end of the movie, they're seeing all this footage is being broadcast to every news station in the world. They have this whole bit where the broadcast station in New York is like, is this real? Is what we're seeing real? But how do we verify it's real? And there's a scene where one of the people working there is like, yep, it's all real. We ran it through our AI detector. It's all ground truth pixels. And I don't know if that's a real thing or not. Ground truth pixels. I've never heard of that. But it's a thing where it's said one time and then it's never brought up again. So it's just like, oh, okay, I guess it's just real now. Everybody just assumes it's real. Nobody after that assumes that it's fake. One person in a broadcast room decides that it's real, And then everybody around the globe is just like, oh, dang, I guess aliens are real and they exist. When really, I feel like there should have been a bigger, hey, this is all just fake. Like, what is this crap? Like, it never pans to, like, two 60-year-old dudes on the Mississippi River, like, listening to it on their phones or something, and just being like, what is all this? What is all this bull crap? You interrupted my fishing for this? Like, that never really happens. Everybody just assumes that what they're seeing is true. And what they're seeing is that there's footage of, like, Roswell, New Mexico, and all these UFO crashes where they're dragging out aliens, and the aliens look like little doll puppets. Like, they literally look like the little gray man puppets that you've seen in, like, every single 50s sci-fi movie and, like, the X-Files, where it's like, it looks so funny. Like, it literally just looks like they're carrying the Muppets. And they're just like, the news reporter, like, doing the head reporting the footage from New York is like, oh my god, all this footage, this is what it means. What does this mean now to be human, now that we know that aliens are out there? How are we gonna live our lives now that everything has changed? Meanwhile, it just cuts to, like, literally the aliens from, like, Scary Movie 3 just, like, laying dead, and it's just hilarious. Like, I legit thought it was some of the funniest footage I've ever seen. Maybe the most hilarious unintentional comedy I've ever seen in a movie. And I just couldn't stop myself laughing in the theater. And I could tell everybody else in the theater was like, oh my god, like, look at all this crazy alien footage. And the world is having this giant revelation right now. And I was just dying laughing. Which only made it funnier because I was the only one laughing. And I was trying to keep myself quiet. And that just made me laugh more. And I really am interested to see if anybody else thought that the whole end sequence was just hilarious. And it wasn't hilariously bad, but it was just like, the news reporter was taking it so serious, and then it would just cut to, like, little gray man footage where they're just dead body. They're just dead bodies are just lying on the ground like a cartoon or something. It was just really funny. And then the very, very end of the movie has one of the craziest, like, cut to black moments where it's like, I cannot believe we ended the movie on this. I cannot believe we ended the movie here. Something big is just about to happen in this whole big moment, and it just cuts to black. Like, it is actually crazy, and I think that part of the ending is crazier than what people are saying about it. Like, I just cannot believe the movie ended that way. I think one last thing to say about this is that Spielberg still has a great eye for action. The action in this movie is pretty darn good. Like, there's a pretty good car chase in it, I would say. It's still pretty effective, and it was exciting. There is a moment when the evil company has been trying to kill them for the entire movie. Like, Wardex and Colin Firth are trying to find them and kill them. And I guess, whether they're trying to kill them is maybe up for debate, but it's like they're using lethal force the whole movie. And at the very end of the movie, they have the opportunity to just shoot them at the news station, but then they literally just turn around and walk away. And it's like, you guys had them right there. Why didn't you just shoot them? But it's like, well, the end of the movie has to happen, so we're just going to walk away. Which I thought was pretty funny. Like, just shoot them. That's what you were going for the whole movie. Like, just shoot them. Yeah, they're right there. But I guess not. There's a crazy alien abduction scene where the aliens use AI footage to draw children out from their beds and lead them into a gingerbread house, where they, like, do testing on them and stuff. Um, it's no fire in the sky scene, I'll tell you that much. But overall, it's good. It's good. It's like a really strong 3 stars out of 5. 3.5 out of 5. And I would recommend it. I feel like Spielberg's definitely having a good 2020 era. He doesn't have that same old juice. Doesn't have that same old movie brain of painting the big picture perfectly. Where it's like I get the stakes, I get everything that's happening. But it's still an engaging story, and the actors are good. So I would recommend it.